Hey everyone. So welcome to this week's Wild Women. My name is Alice and yeah, really good to have you. Oh, looks like my Wi-Fi is trying to connect. Hopefully this stays working. So this is a part of a weekly series that I've been hosting these last week called Wild Women Codes, which is all about this looking at the spaces and the places within ourselves where we may have lost the connection to our inner wildness, which is something that we are all born with. And each week I'm going on with a different topic of conversation, and it's been super joyful for me. This is a come on and check in and say hello and have a real and raw conversation about some of these things that are really relevant in our lives, and then give you some tools to hopefully bring into yours so that you can connect more to your innate and innocent state of wildness within you. And so, yeah, if you're here, just pop by and say hello. Good morning, Janet. So good to have you here. I love our weekly connects here. Yeah, just pop on and say hello. And if you want, where you're tuning in from, and we'd love to see you here. So this week I want to share a little bit about a conversation that I just had actually with a copywriter. Her name is Nadia Erickson, and she's just been such a gift in my life. We've been working on some of my offerings together and just shaping them and giving them a voice to really have it sound like mine. And one of the things that we were talking about today was, you know, some of the stories that have shaped me to be me, that have shaped me in offering my gifts in the world, and what are some of the themes that are up for me. And one of the words that I use quite a bit that I feel could have some more context around, not only for myself, but for yourself as well, is this word wild. So the word wild can have so many different connotations, can't it? Like, what are some of the first things that you might think about when you hear this word wild? And it could have to do with nature. It could have to do with girls gone wild, an innate sense of losing control or chaos. The word wild holds many different meanings and textures, tones, feelings, stories, judgments for each one of us. And the way that I use this word wild is to connect with the innate wildness that is within our own selves that each of us has, because we are a human organism that has an animal body, that has a pulsing, feeling heart, and that is also deeply connected to soul and spirit. We're quite complex in many ways, and in other ways we're very simple. And this word wild is something that connects me back to the space within me that is constantly being birthed within me at every moment, which is that place of preconditioning. It's about preconditioning, but more than that, it's also about asking ourselves if the messages that we receive from our culture, our families, our media, our, everywhere that we might be ingesting information, is this true for me? And I think that our capitalist society has really fit on all of us perhaps not asking that question. And one of the things that we have is our body as an instrument that is so sensitive and so unique to each one of us, that can feel our own innate sense of balance and ease and joy, a place of thriving as we are on this planet. But the places that we start to feel heavier or bowed down or emotionally like we're carrying this weight of ourselves and others are the places where we may have abandoned ourselves along the way. That maybe that voice of the teacher in school repeated itself over and over again in your own head enough times that that voice started to sound like yours. And so this work that I do in coming back to our own inner wildness again and again is a question really of what is your inner wildness? What is the wild woman that lives inside yourself, that has her own tune, that sings her own song, that dances her own dance, You know, what does she look like? What does she feel like? How would she move? How would she speak? How does she show up in relationship to others as well as to self? And so this archetype of the wild woman has been a great inspiration my whole life. And I think it began with my grandmother. If we're just meeting recently, I sometimes tell grandmother stories because she was really the greatest love of my life and my first embodied wild woman that I ever met. And so my family is Chinese Vietnamese. We grew up in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh or Saigon at the time. And my grandmother is like a feisty, firecracker of a woman. And she really prides herself on being the first woman to have ever driven a truck in Saigon. And she ran this business because it was my grandfather's business that she essentially took over because he was gambling and drinking alcohol all the time. And so she took over this business of selling car tires, and she would pop these car tires on the back of her truck and drive them to all these clients around the town. And people would just look at her and be like, who is that driving this truck? Because no women at that time drove trucks. They sat like, you know, proper ladies do, crossed legs on the back of a motorbike, side saddle, or in a car with a shaded hat, of course. And so she was this fiercely independent woman that really loved having her freedom and would do whatever was needed in order to feed her family and to also have a life that was filled with joy. And so, you know, my grandmother holds this real spirit for me of connecting to the woman that the wild woman that goes beyond cultural norms, that starts to break free of what society has told us is possible, not possible, proper, not proper, good, bad, right, wrong, etc. To actually tune into, well, what feels alive inside myself? What is it that awakens inside me? What is it that I live for? And so the wild woman really asks these questions of herself. If you have a wild woman in your life that you would like to give a shout out to, or to just name, I also hear who inspires who in people's lives. And so throughout time, this going back to this wild woman and why I personally use this word a lot, every single woman has this wildness that lives inside her. Every single person does. You don't have to be a woman. And I feel like she is really the medicine carrier. She's the medicine carrier that births a reality that we really wish to live in, to be birthed. You know, she's the one that breaks free of rules because she tunes more into what feels right. She doesn't break rules just for the sake of breaking rules, but she just feels into, well, what is life wanting in this moment? How can I fully express? How can I fully be of service? What is needed in this moment in order for me to come fully alive? And so inside Wild Woman Temple, which is a membership portal that I host for women all around the globe. There's 130 women in there right now who I just adore so much. Some of you are here watching. Janet's here from there. And last week, and the weekend, we just had a live temple session. So every month we gather for 2 hours where we dive into a monthly theme. And this month's theme is around, it became so around how growing up, most of us were never taught boundaries. We were not told to say no. Most of us were conditioned with the nice girl, you know, the one who is polite, the one who is kind, the one who is like the mother maiden, the one who can care for everyone, the one who is constantly giving, nourishing, etc., etc. And she can be there too. And at the same time, what about the woman inside that actually wants to say no? That says no to overstepping her physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, mental boundaries, sexual boundaries, when she has a clear no. And inside the temple, what we do is we start to make space for all of these different aspects to show up. Yeah, the soft and the tender one, and the fierce and the wild one, so that every aspect of us gets a space to have a voice. And so today in this Wild Woman Codes transmission, what I'd really love to offer you as a seed to walk into your day with is this inquiry around who is your wild woman. And if you want to do it with me right now, we can do it. It'll just take 2 minutes. Is to close your eyes. And just receive a few breaths. And let your breaths really fill you so that the breaths are almost a bit more exaggerated and wide in its texture. So that your physical and your energetic body begins to actually take up a little bit more of the physical space that you are in. And for those of you who are joining right now, we're just doing a moment to drop into your inner wild. And so become aware of a part of your body that is speaking right now. Don't overthink it. Just a part of you that is lighting up in this moment, is calling you to attention. And breathe deeply into that space. Even drop your jaw and part your lips, let your mouth wiggle a little bit. And inside this space, imagine, without censorship, what this feeling of wild is for you. What does it feel like? What color is it? What is the shape? And how does this shape or this color move in her wild? Knowing that there is no right or wrong way to express this. Maybe your wild has a chaotic windstorm quality. Or maybe your wild is perfectly still amidst the chaos. How does this energy move? And if you want to bring a little bit of that movement to your body, then let your body move in that way right now as well. Perhaps it's a little swirling from side to side, or maybe it's got more edges to it. Remember to breathe and just give. Good. Now, how does she sound? This vibration of wild. How does it sound in this moment for you? Is it a low tone in the womb? Is it a staccato pitch that's higher? Is it a wail or a howl or a soft whisper? What does wild, the vibration of wild, sound like for you? Good. Good. And again, opening up the doors of permission as you move with the texture, with the movement of your wild in this moment. Also, let the sound of your wild come. And if it feels a little bit strange or a little bit uncomfortable, don't worry, you're probably not alone. There's a good handful of people around the world doing this with you right now. What does she sound like? Good. And then one last one. This vibration of wild for you in this moment. What does it feel like? Yeah, does it feel big and bright and expansive? Does it feel fiery and ferocious? Does it feel soft? Does it feel fluffy? What does the vibration of the feeling of wild like for you in this moment? And then with the next few breaths, allow your whole body to be infused with this vibration of your wild. Good. And then take a deep breath in, full breath out. And then keep this feeling alive for you if it's juicy. And you can open your eyes and come on back. I'd love to know what that was like for you. If you want to share anything about your inner wild, the way that she moves or sounds or feels, just pop them into the comments. And I always love when you guys write in the comments, and people who watch it during and after love it too, because we start to get all of these different insights and perspectives dropping in, because everyone's experience is absolutely unique for themselves and yours is unique for you. And so if you want to share, just pop them in there. And yeah, I would love to hear. I know for me today, I was guiding you a little bit more than tuning in, but my wild actually feels like she wants to stand up a little bit taller. I've been in jet lag. I just came home from Costa Rica and I'm back in my home in Zurich, and feeling a little bit heavier and lethargic. And I also went through quite an emotional ride while in Costa Rica with family, my partner and his family. And so, yeah, I feel a bit like I'm decompressing. So my wild has not been so alive, to be honest, in the last days. But even doing this, I'm kind of tuning into this. Mine feels like this movement inside my womb. It's like this rumbling wave that is, wanting to go like this. And I think I'm going to go for a big walk after this to let this energy continue to move. Okay, so coming in some comments. Donna, bold and large energy and sexy. Fantastic. Love it. Yeah, what else are you guys feeling? Just type them into the chat. And so this quality of wild, and when I lead Wild Woman Temple and Wild Woman gatherings, it's really about this. It's about tuning in to your own inner wild, your own definition of what wild is. The wild woman, that's one thing, is that she does not live by other people's definitions of who they think she should be. She lives by her own rules, tuned into the rhythms of her own body and of the nature and the surroundings around her. Connected. Hey, Mira. Lovely to see you, honey. Mira is one of my most beloved sisters. Yeah, so anyways, I'll leave a few more moments for some comments to come in. And if you're watching the replay, pop them in there anyways, because we always love to hear. And just as an announcement for this week, in 2 Sundays, so Sunday, May 30th, I'm going to host a free event. I know that sisters around the world have just been sharing about how they're fed up and feeling really lonely and isolated and disconnected, and could use a beautiful, supportive, inspiring space to gather. So I'm going to host a free event. It's May 30th on a Sunday, 9 a.m. PST, for us all to gather. And so make sure you mark the dates. All the details are